Hello, hello. Welcome to the Five Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. I interview the top commercial real estate investors and industry experts so you can learn from their experiences. So if you're an investor, a high W-2 earner, or real estate or tech sales professional that wants to invest in real estate without having to manage properties or leave your day job, then this podcast is for you. Or if you're already investing in real estate, but you're doing it part-time and you want to become a full-time multifamily or full-time commercial real estate investor, this podcast is for you too. You're going to learn a ton. You will learn from real-life multifamily investors and other professionals in the industry. They're going to share their blueprints for success, and I'm super excited that you're here. So I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, hello. This is Abel Pacheco with Five Talents Commercial Real Estate, joining us for the Five Talents podcast. I have a super, I'm just very excited because I have an amazing guest for us this morning. And for our viewers and listeners, we've got a treat. Somebody I know personally, professionally, for years. And you may know, I think you see that I've partnered with him more than a couple times, and there's a reason why. But Mr. Devin Elder. Devin is the founder of DJE Texas Management Company. It's a vertically integrated multifamily investment firm that's based here in San Antonio, Texas, which is where we're from. The company's completed over 200 successful investment transactions, including over 2,000 units of multifamily. And without further ado, let me let Devin Elder introduce himself for a moment. Devin, thank you very much, man. Thanks for joining.
Hey, Abel, glad to be on, man. Thanks for having me.
I sincerely appreciate it. And I know you're by looking at this introduction, you are a very humble individual. I think for the most part, man, you've done some amazing things over the past number of years in real estate. And I just, am first of all thankful that have an opportunity to share with listeners and viewers a little bit more about your background and story. I think it's going to help a lot of people, just kind of come to their next step, whatever they're looking for. And helping me personally, man, I appreciate it. So.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
So what I'd like to do is, I know you've shared probably your story a few times. I've heard it, I've seen a few podcasts and interviews, but for our network, my network personally, can you share how you got started in real estate? Was you are doing multifamily today, your first deals, single family, and also more than real estate, like what were you doing? Were you working full time? Did you have a career, job, things like that? So I know some of these answers, but kind of leading you in the direction, man. Tell me a little bit about your start.
Yeah, it started with the desire for freedom, right? That's the underlying driver for me, and it always has been. The fact that it's real estate is just a byproduct of that. Real estate turned out to be the best vehicle that I could find. I call it kind of like the regular guy's way to get wealthy. I think you could, I know some people that have done extremely well through family businesses or inheritances. I've known some people that have gotten extremely lucky through maybe like getting in a Bitcoin at the right time or something like that. And then I know some people that have had some stock options and companies that IPO'd and were able to like radically transform their financial life through those. But I figured out kind of early on that I wasn't going to have any of those lightning strikes, and I didn't have any family finance foundation to start from. So I wanted to be financially independent. This started around 2008. And I didn't even know it was going to be real estate. I tried some different businesses and looked at kind of some online businesses and spent a lot of time and energy kind of pursuing that. And failing. I think that's important to highlight that I failed at a ton of stuff. I don't really look at it. I don't spend a lot of time looking at it unless there's a lesson there, but I don't spend a lot of time crying about it. I just kind of move on. But it's important, I think, for people to understand that that I've failed a ton, even before I got to real estate, trying to start online businesses and stuff like that. But there's always that desire for freedom. Then finally, I went to a real estate seminar And I was already geared up and had that I wanted to have passive income. I wanted to be financially independent, and the real estate stuff, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is my thing. And I knew immediately right there that that's what I was going to do. And that was in my mid 30s at the time. So early 30s. So it's not like I started this early or started with a bunch of money. I didn't start with any money. I started in my mid 30s, and just had an overwhelming desire to create a lot of freedom for myself and create a lifestyle. So I think that's important to start with, because that drives everything. I think your reason will push you through whatever. And that desire has pushed me through countless obstacles. I think any success that I've had is just an ability to persevere. It is not, I sometimes say, like, anything publicly that you see that is a success, there is an equivalent challenge on the other side of it that you probably don't hear about. So whatever peaks are out there publicly, there is valleys privately, right? Challenges to overcome, stuff like that, right? So at any rate, that was it. That's what was driving that. I started I started with rental houses. Buy a house with hard money and renovate it, and that was a really cool model. That model's amazing. Refinance out your cash, and then once I'd done a bunch of single families, I started flipping houses. That got me kind of that start of some bigger capital. In the multifamily world, you might need to put $100,000 earnest money up. So you can't just show up with no money and play ball. You've got to have a partner, or you've got to have some cash. So flipping houses gave me that kind of baseline of capital to get into these bigger deals that were, you got to have some capital to play ball in larger multifamily. So flipping houses got me there. Flipping houses also got me out of my day job. And I looked at flipping houses like bartending, right? Hey, it's good money. It can be fun. It's not a long-term play. But it got me to the next step. And really, I knew that once I could get out of my corporate job, that all that time and energy was going to be freed up to focus on the business. And that's when things really, really, really took off, was once I had my full time and energy at my disposal to go pursue this business. And I did have a little period there when I left my job where I was like, hey man, I've checked out. I got cash flow to cover my bills. I'm functionally retired. And I'm going to take advantage of it and play golf on a Wednesday morning and just kind of enjoy it. And that probably lasted 3 or 4 months before it was like, all right, you can't sit around. We're not designed to do that, right? We're designed to go out and do stuff. So had a little period of some relaxing and reflection, and then really kind of threw myself into growing the business. So that was the start for me, is houses, and then and getting, building some capital. I was fortunate early on to meet some guys that were doing big multifamily deals and get to be buddies with them. And I had no earthly idea how to do what they were doing, but I always knew, and I don't know if I knew this from mentors I've had or from reading books or from all the above, but you just got to get around the people that are doing what you want to do. And it's okay if you don't understand how. It's osmosis, right? We just mimic the people that we are around. It's just an immutable law. And so that's why you see people that are groups of friends, they kind of all dress the same. They kind of all talk the same. They might prefer the same brands. People just sort of gravitate towards their tribe. And so part of that for me was being very intentional about the tribe that I hung out with, and making it a real point to be, you've heard maybe the dumbest guy in the room, right? And if you're looking around and you're the smartest guy in the room, you're not learning and growing. So it was years and years of putting myself in situations where I was around some real superstars and felt like a moron. But there was a mentor of mine that told me many years ago something that stuck with me. He said, act like you belong. You're going to move into that neighborhood and live with those people that have all that money. Just act like you belong. You don't need to make a big deal that you don't know what you're doing. You want to be in that group or in that mastermind with these people that are superstars. Just act like you belong. And a lot of that is just keeping your mouth shut. So I did that for a few years. Just getting in really, really great groups. Some of them I would have to buy into. And that was okay, because over time you start to pick up the characteristics and the habits of your peer group. And I mean, sometimes like that's most of it. It's just getting around the right peer group, because guess what? Guess what people that have a lot of money do? They talk deals, they help each other out, they invest with each other. And that's just what, that's what that peer group does. Right. So I think it's hard to grow into that without being already kind of being in that peer group.
Yeah. If you want to get physically fit, you probably join a health club, a group, and you start logging your calories in your app, and then you're looking around who's in the community, and you join another one, and you start, picking up some physical activities with other people, and you get healthy. The same thing applies for creating wealth and creating that legacy of cash flow and net worth creation. It's like, well, if you get around people that are doing that same, you're doing the same thing. You're going to get healthier on this side, or you're going to create more wealth for yourself. Just depends on which group you join. You join the wrong group, and you're going to head down a wrong path. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Same thing for criminals. You're not a criminal. You join a group with some criminals, you're going to become a criminal. It's just a human law. It's going to happen.
You have there's more than a few things that I want to pause here on, man. So I heard the failure part of it. You've had those failures, and that's what a lot of people don't see. I also heard, the desire for freedom and to create it for yourself. And then I also heard, getting around the right people. So let's focus on those three things for a moment, if I can. So you found, real estate was the ticket for you. You said, hey, I know immediately this is the right path. Great choice, by the way. Did you invest in some other opportunities? Was it multi-level marketing? Was it, did you try to own, and flip something or sell something else, or, just, high level, what were those things that you tried? Or,
before real estate, I tried creating some income producing websites. So this was in 2008. So this was a while ago. Yeah. And I started studying it, and I didn't spend a tremendous amount of money on it, but I spent a tremendous amount of time on it and had a little bit of success with it, but it wasn't anything where I was going to retire or anything like that. But I had spent a tremendous amount of time and energy because I thought that could be an avenue. And that just completely failed. And so, I just decided I was going to not make that failure count against me, because if you just give up and go, all right, I'll just work this job till I'm 60 or whatever, then that failure really hurts. But if you make that failure a stepping stone to your eventual big future, then it's all good. And so I learned a ton about being efficient with my time. I learned a ton about technology systems and things like that are, still beneficial today, right?
Yeah.
In my business.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the moment you found real estate, that made sense. Wealth creation, appreciation, force flipping. And so you went into single family. Another point I wanted to capitalize on was you recognized or realized that single family was a great way to create active capital. The capital in your hand that you said it was necessary. Can't just jump in a multifamily deal without any cash. So walk me through that mindset. Was it very intentional, or did you happenstance say, oh man, I've got 100K and let me put it in there? Or was the mindset already focused? I'm going to do 5 deals and then go do, multifamily? Or walk us through that for a second.
Yeah, my focus early on. So I started with single family rentals. I was not, I was interested in the cash flow and things like that, and was not starting to flip houses until I'd done probably a dozen single family projects already, and thought, well, I could probably just get into the house, renovate it, and sell it and take a profit immediately rather than just getting the cash flow. And so, but my goal all along was to have passive income from the very beginning, passive income that covered my bills, right?
Yeah.
And that was, that was step one. And at that point, I was going to let myself quit my day job. So I worked for really, really hard for about 2.5 years at a corporate job and building my single family rental portfolio and small multifamily in order to have passive income every month to cover my bills. Once I did that, I allowed myself to quit work and start flipping houses. And, the first house that I flipped was like a 40K net. And I thought, well, 40K, I mean, I'm making 6 figures at work, but that house wasn't that much work. and I could do it on the side. And you start thinking, if you could string one of those a quarter, going, well, now I'm making more than I'm making at work. And I could do a lot more. So that was, that flipping house idea was kind of what got me thinking that there was a real opportunity cost to being at work. But I still wanted the passive income base. I wanted to be able to pay my bills without working, and then spend all my extra time trying to get these bigger chunks of capital. So to answer your question, the main goal was passive income to cover my bills. That would let me quit work. And once I quit work, I didn't have the grandest vision. I just knew I wanted to be in multifamily at the time. And I knew that if I had all my time and energy to pursue it, I knew I could build something that would be like a life-changing business.
Yeah. Well, you definitely made the right choice, my friend, and took some big risk and some good, leap of faith type of thing, which is what I found that a lot of people that I talked to today, it's hard for them to take that mental leap of even the first part of what you said, which is work hard for 2.5 years to keep their day job while they're doing it, creating a business. And even just that, it's like, well, what happens if I put 2.5 years worth of time in and don't have success? They can't even get over the first part, much less I'm going to leave my job completely and pursue this full time, which is a big mindset thing, right?
It is. It is. I think you have what I do is not rocket science. And if you're not, it's kind of harsh, but if you're not succeeding, you don't want it bad enough, because the tools are there, the resources are there.
Yeah.
And I think you just have to have this mentality that you're going to do something. And if it takes 3 tries, that's okay. If it takes 10 tries, that's okay. If it takes 1,000 tries, that's okay. You're still going to do it. And that's the difference, is that it's going to happen no matter what. And that mindset lets you go through a lot of BS, because it's like a marriage, you're like, well, I'm in it, I'm not leaving. So it's a very different mindset than, yeah, you're just dating this girl, you just met her, something came up, I'm out of here. The other thing too, I think it's important, that I think a lot of people maybe are not geared for, is there's kind of a spectrum, and on one side is security and on the other side is freedom, and they are not next to each other. They're on opposite sides. So if you want freedom, you leave security, and most people are not willing to do that. Most people want security more than they want freedom, and they're willing to trade all kind of stuff in their life for a perception of security.
Man.
And I was willing to say, I'm willing to completely give up security in order to pursue freedom, which I said at the beginning is my number one priority. Right.
That's a paradigm, man. That's a paradigm shift. And that's 100%, feels 100% accurate as you say it. Right. Wow. That's awesome. So here you are, you're trying to transition over. You've created that income stream. You're finally in a position, you're like, well, hey, I'm going to go bigger. What were some of the moves that you made, think about it when you first started, and then maybe parallel that to today. This is a big difference from multifamily Devin first started to multifamily Devin 2,000 plus units and, having massive success right now.
Yeah. I think I went through a process that I always tell people they should go through, and that have seen work for countless people. And the first step is to passively invest. Second step is to be a general partner with an experienced sponsor. And third step is to go run a deal yourself. And so, I passively invested in some deals just so I could, because it's funny, multifamily, pretty straightforward. You got income, you got expenses, and if you got something left over, that's some cash flow for your investors. And then once that's met, some for yourself. So pretty simple, income and expenses, but it is pretty intimidating the first time you look at a P&L on a 200 unit apartment complex, and a lot of line items, and it can be kind of overwhelming. But at the end of the day, it's the same as a rental house, income and expenses and cash flow left over. But
I looked at the 100 lines the first time, but I didn't realize there was like 6 or 7 tabs. So I was expecting that first one, but not the ones tab, second, third, fourth, and fifth of the Excel. Anyways, can be overwhelming.
So it can get overwhelming. But the process is invest passively, just so you can start to just understand it, period. See reports, see what the sponsor's sending out. Second step is to get on the general partnership or partner up. And so, my multifamily journey was passively investing to start. Then I bought a little 6-unit, no partners. So I wanted to test it out, ran everything myself. I was signing leases myself down on the weekend on the south side, this little property I owned. And then my next deal was partnering with some people that had already done some deals on a 75-unit deal. And that was not something that I had to go do all myself. It was a partnership. Shortly after that, I bought my own deal as the primary sponsor. And then, that's really kind of that's when the brokers start calling you, hey, you want to go to lunch? Because then you're in a small group of buyers. And that's what brokers want. They want buyers, people that can close. So
before we go too much farther, probably for the passive investors that may be listening right now. So they've been listening to multifamily. They're working their profession. Maybe they haven't put in that 2.5 years yet, but they know I want to eventually get here. So they're going to invest passively. That's their next move, right? If you can project yourself into their mind, and maybe Devin back then, how did you vet your partners? Back then, I don't know. You tell me. Were you like an underwriting analyst king? Could you, look at these pro formas and, understand the fully? Or did you say, well, this is kind of, I know a little bit of this information. What was your mindset then, your knowledge base? And then how did you vet those partners? So that would be great for others to hear.
Yeah. So what I did was I really relied on partners' expertise to say, man, these guys are further down the road. This is what they're saying the numbers are. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with them. Did I know how to pick apart every piece of it? Nope. It's a personal relationship.
Yeah.
And I know that's not ideal. Ideally, everybody gets educated and understands it all inside and out. But the truth is, you're betting on people. Because you can make the Excel model say whatever you want. You're betting that the guy running the deal, when he gets kicked in the teeth and thrown a curveball, that he can deal with it. That's, for me, that's, and a lot of people can't deal with it. A lot of people get kicked in the teeth or thrown a curveball and they cave. So you need, I almost like a partner that's been knocked around, because you want to see how people react to that. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. You've heard that. So to answer your question, I was definitely relying on partners' expertise to say, hey, here's the numbers, here's other projects we've done, and we have a reasonable expectation that we can hit these numbers.
Yeah.
And so, okay, that's all right. And that's kind of the same way we treat our passive investors. Like, you're kind of coming to us to take care of all this for you. Yes, you can dive into the numbers and everything, but as a passive investor, you kind of just want to get your check. So that's what I see a sponsor's duty as, is to be the sanitizer, right? There's a lot of complexity in real estate. We're talking about apartments. There's a lot of people issues, resident issues, stuff like that can come up. And the sponsor's job is just to handle all that and send the check to the passive investor. And so that was kind of the approach I took. Was I want to learn all this stuff. I want to look and see. I want to be a part of it. I want to put skin in the game and invest in it. But I'm heavily relying on the sponsor to run the numbers and to to guide me through that. So a lot of it is, do I like this guy? And have we spent time together to where I feel like I can trust this person? And then that the numbers are secondary to that, in my experience anyway.
Yeah. The first time I put $50K down, my head went to, well, I actually know him personally, and I probably could find out where he lives. and I did go to his wedding, and he came from where I came from. He's like a normal guy. Like, I can relate to this individual, right?
Right.
So that's probably different than somebody that's, let's say, if anybody is on this podcast, like a high net worth, accredited investor, multi-million, you've already done and fast forwarded through that process.
Sure.
Maybe for those two perspectives, how would you go about now? You want to make the investment, like, and trust this individual. Now, what are the next things that you're looking for as a passive investor? And, how do I dig in here and say, okay, I'm ready to move forward. I understand. Let's move. Now, one deal, and there's, deal number one, deal number two. Like, how do I even go through that mindset of choosing the right deal and choosing the right investment?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, a lot of people have the problem of, I guess you call it too much money, but like deployable capital, right? Because a lot of people that have a lot of capital, they don't want to be sitting in cash, with most of it. You want to have it deployed and multiplying. You have to do that in a strategic way. And you obviously don't want to lose any of your principal. So I think for sponsors, early on, it's kind of friends and family, and who can you raise capital from based on your personal relationship. But then as you grow and do deals and have a track record, that's what people that maybe are coming to your company are looking for, right? And so it's kind of a chicken or egg thing for a sponsor. It's like you have to have, if you don't have a track record, you have to borrow some track record or rely on personal relationships to get started. And then, the most important thing is to develop a good track record, because if your first deal out of the gate's a flop, that's going to be real hard to build a company around, right? So you make sure your first couple of deals are good deals, then you can demonstrate a track record, and that's when you can start to attract more capital that's maybe a little more removed from your kind of immediate core friends and family. So as a passive investor evaluating deals, I think it's important to just look at a lot of deals, right? Be on a lot of lists, talk to different sponsors, get comfortable with it. And that's what a lot of people we talk to do.
You gave that advice somewhere through the process of my past couple of years, and it was join XYZ group or website, and just start looking at deals, and you can start to see different pro formas and how people maybe are more conservative, or people are more risky, returns are lower, higher, different markets. I think that was very valuable because you could look at a number of opportunities. I have heard that question a lot too. It's or a question that I hear a lot is, how do you find other partners to invest with and to look at multiple opportunities? And man, just it comes up a lot. And I go, well, the internet, Google multifamily investing, and you'll find a bunch of names to go check out. But anyways, okay, passive investing, I think that helps a lot, because you're trying to figure out know, like, and trust. You put some money in, I'm ready. Now, as an operator, as a syndicator, as a general partner, as a sponsor, all of those words for anybody listening are kind of synonymous to the new passive investors, are like kind of in the same realm. Devin is a high performing individual in this area, right? So let's take the last few minutes here, if we can. Tell us about your business today, like vertically integrated, property management. You have a pretty big team. It's no longer Devin signing leases at 6 doors. You're a much different company, right? So maybe you can walk us through your business today.
Sure. Yeah. So, I think it's been a natural progression to bring on team members, and it's always a balance for any business owner, right? When you're committing to payroll, that there needs to be the ROI there. One big thing for us recently was starting the management company. You're never going to, let's say you're a multifamily owner, you're always going to have a management fee, 3 or 4% of revenue on bigger stuff, maybe higher percentage for smaller stuff. But you're always going to have that expense. And it got to the point where I said, we've got enough deals here. And frankly, it came down to hiring the right person. When the right person was up to run my property management company, I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. Didn't even really want to, but it's all about the people on the team, and this team member made a lot of sense. So it made sense to start the management company. And now, instead of paying it to a third party, it's coming to one of our companies. And it's not really what it's about. It's about control. So we've got that management company. And so we grew, by a bunch of employees pretty much overnight, because we started the management company. But I have my VP of operations running that management company. So I pretty much just talk to him, which keeps it very scalable for me, right? And then internally, hired an office manager about a year ago to help out with a lot of, there's just so many tasks, internally that I need to get off my plate. And then also recently hired an investor relations manager because I was looking at, the business. You basically need to be focused on deals and dollars, and everything else, is not as high value. And so
that's your 80-20, find more deals and find more investors, correct?
that's it. Yeah. And so it's like, well, I noticed it was really effective to have that new investor call. Hey, somebody comes in and you have a 20, 30-minute call with them, or 10-minute call, whatever. I knew that if I could have a few of those every day, we could really grow the business. But I'm running a million other things. There's just not time. So it made sense to bring on an investor relations role to the company. And now that frees me up to be more of a CEO, to oversee the company. There's still lots of, stuff that I need to do, but the goal is, for any company that it's not solely reliant on the founder to do everything. That's an inefficient company. So I'm big on systems and processes. That's what the team looks like now. And the plan is just to continue to buy multifamily deals in our backyard that make sense, operate them ourselves for maximum efficiency, and continue sending those monthly distributions to investors. And
that's awesome.
The model we feel like is pretty sustainable.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. And hello. This is Abel Pacheco, your host for the 5 Talents podcast. After listening to a few episodes, deep down, do you know that multifamily and commercial real estate investing is one of the best ways to create financial freedom? If you said yes to that question and you are where I was a few years ago, then I'd absolutely love to connect with you. A few years ago, I started personally consuming a ton of real estate education. I traveled all over the country, as many real estate conferences and seminars that I could go to. I took 200 plus hours of real estate education. I spent thousands of dollars along the way. And I did this because I knew the path to financial freedom for me and my family was through commercial real estate and syndication. So if you've made a similar decision, I'd love to connect with you. And potentially in the future, I'd love to partner with you as well. Take a moment, go to 5tcre.com/invest, and I'd love to set up a time to talk. So let's dig into the systems a little bit. We have a few more minutes here, and I'd love to hear, when you say systems, or some people can't even understand, they haven't done their first one as a general partner. Maybe they've invested a bunch of times. Talked to an investor the other day, 10 plus deals, 2,000 plus doors as a passive investor. Now he's going to do his deal for the first time as a general partner. So that mindset, I go, wow, there's going to be a lot of extra work, right? I don't even know what all those things are as a new general partner. So maybe help describe what are those details, the nitty gritty, the tactical, and then an example of the system that helps you work through it.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at let's look at the life cycle of a deal. You have the acquisition process, you have the capital, or what I would consider to be like a private equity component of your business, and then you have an operations component of your business. And those are 3 very different things. Your acquisition process, you're going to need to look at a ton of deals. One thing that helped us was outsourcing some of the underwriting to say, I can't spend all day tearing through financial statements to even know if we're close. And so that was a big help for us. The other thing is creating some systems in a CRM and some automation so that you're not spending a lot of time on admin stuff if you can automate it. I'm a big fan of looking at a process and running it through a filter that says, number 1, top of the filter, can we eliminate this? Like, is it possible to just eliminate this? In some cases, yeah, something you're doing, you can just stop doing it. If you can't eliminate it, can it be automated? And in a lot of cases, yeah, this process we're doing over here, we could probably build a system or an automation to let software do this or do a large portion of it. An example there is investor relations software, right? I mean, we send out millions of dollars to investors, and it's a couple of buttons we push through some software that we upload to our bank, and boom, it goes out. Everybody's got their accounting, everybody's got their statements. online. They can view their distributions and stuff like that. And I mean, that's a process through some software that could be somebody's full-time job if it wasn't automated. That could be one person's full-time job, managing all that. And so that software really helps that. So I look to see, can we eliminate something? No. Can we automate it? If we can't automate it, who can I give it to? Who's a person I can give it to, whether that's an internal person on the team, or maybe it's an outsourced person like a virtual assistant, or even outsourced like a CPA, right? Somebody that can take it off your plate, so that you got a system and a process for every piece of the business. So if you look at acquisitions, private equity, and operations, are kind of three different things. The CRMs really helped us on the acquisition side. Outsourcing underwriting has really helped us. Creating templates around things like LOIs, so that you can create an LOI in 30 seconds. Creating, email templates and things like that to go out to brokers and stuff like that has been super helpful. And then creating some automations as you go through processes, right? So as this deal moves from this stage to this stage, well, in the new stage, it's going to fire off tasks to people on the team to do different things, right? And so it's not rocket science. Real estate's not hard. It's just people make it hard, and all the people that you have to deal with create complexity. But the real estate itself is pretty straightforward. So that's on the acquisition side, some of the processes that we've used, and then the equity side, you have to create systems around talking to people, and so we have targets around how many new investors do we talk to, right? And so then back to the CRM and systems around that, it's automated follow-ups, it's thank yous, gifts, things like that we built a whole process around. Talking to new people. And so there's that whole component. And then central to the business is that investor relations portal, right? Where we can launch a new deal, raise capital, manage documents, right? For large numbers of people. We might have 30, 50, 100 investors on a single project. So that, having your document management automated is incredibly important. Same thing for distributions, right? That software's allowed us to do monthly distributions, which people love, but if we had to write checks, there was a deal I did where we wrote checks every quarter. Well, we didn't write them. We got the bank to do it, but the bank always needed an override, and it was this huge process. And it was like, we can't do that every month. But now through some software automation, we can send out some checks. So we can send out some distributions in minutes, right? And so you're looking for ways to cut big processes down. And I saw this in the corporate world where there's just massive inefficiencies that I don't have the luxury of just throwing headcount at it. Oh, I'm going to hire this guy for this big dollar amount and let it be inefficient. There's just not room for that. So we've got to be extremely efficient. Software is a big way to do that. And then operations, that's tough. I've used third-party management companies for years with varying degrees of success. We've always been able to hit our investor metrics, which is great, but managing properties is tough. Managing property management company can be tough. And so that's why we decided to bring it in-house. Not that it solves everything, but it makes things a lot more efficient. Decision-making process is a lot faster. So on your operations side, for us, the way we handle that is just to hire a really good person to run the management company that had a lot of experience and give them leeway to do what they know they need to do based on their experience. So that's been some of the systems and processes and teams that we've had for what I would call the three areas: acquisitions, private equity, and operations.
Yeah, that's awesome. So those three themes that you hear over and over again, kind of how I think I heard some of this, maybe didn't catch it. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around all of the different things that go into it, but you're trying to figure out your impact areas, your 80/20s, and that's where you want to spend as much of your personal time as the leader, the highest impact areas. Everything else, what is it? Write it down, put it all the steps in, acquisition versus due diligence versus close versus operations, and list everything down in every phase. And then you kind of go back and say, man, can I automate this in some way? Yes. Okay, let's do it. If I can't, it's still important, but maybe you're not your high impact area. You go back and say, hey, which kind of headcount or who can I have that would help me here? It's absolutely necessary, but not my 80-20 impact area. And that's what you're doing. And it's very much run like a business, which I think is kind of, it's maybe funny, I think, for some other people to hear. They just think real estate, I'm going to be the owner. I'm going to do all this work on my own. And what you're describing is like a normal $10 million business. And then when you have 10 of them, you're creating $100 million business, which now has a lot of headcount. And, so it's nice to hear, like, you run it like a business. That's what it is. It's not a single deal.
Yeah, that's right. And part of the, balancing act for me is, well, I started this to create freedom. So did I really want to build this big company?
Yeah.
Right. And I still don't think it's a big company, but it's been a balancing act to say, we want to do a certain number of deals that we can comfortably do. And I never, ever want to trade off. That is just personal philosophy. I don't want to be hating my day. I've got some stressful days, but I still want it to be an enjoyable life. And my motto is that every day is a good last day. I don't want to grind it out for 5 years and look up and my kids are, man, I miss that time with my kids. They're all grown up and I was at the office this whole time for what? Like, cause at some point money is like, who cares? I mean, you got to have it and it's super important. You can do all kind of awesome stuff with it, but not at the expense of your health or your family. And at the same time, I did quote unquote retire and I spent a lot of time at home and I realized you can go too far in that direction too. There's such a thing as too much time at home, which, everybody in COVID is realizing, you don't want to just not work and play with your kids every day. That's crazy. You got to have a balance, right? So for me, it's been about growing a business that I enjoy doing, that's engaging for me, that makes everybody a bunch of money, and then I still love, if I got to the end of my day and God said, you didn't know this, but this is it, you're done. That I'd go, well, all right. I don't have regrets. Don't have regrets because I lived a balanced life. I did a bunch of stuff I wanted to do. I got to have fun with the money that I made. I got to make people money. I got to give away money. I got to employ people, but I never said, I'm going to work 100 hours a week and hate my life for some money. That to me is a terrible trade-off, right? But within that context, building the business works for me. It's a very personal decision, but I like it and it works for me and it's fulfilling. So
there's a lot of good things that you said in there that I resonate with very much. And I imagine that's why I have chosen to partner with you on more than a few deals, man. That's awesome. Yeah. We don't want to go back and it be our last day and then have regrets or have that position where it's like, you were supposed to do more and you didn't. Why didn't you do? I want to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant for me. And I want to use every hour, man. So that's awesome. Now, before you go, so the last couple minutes, well, let me just make sure I get this out there in case I don't hit it at the end, hit it now. If somebody wants to get in touch with Mr. Devin Elder, they want to invest, they want to, partner, they want to move forward, where should I get in contact with you? What's the best way to get in your world?
Best way is just our main website. That's DJETexas.com. Hit that. You'll see how to put get on a call with us. It's pretty simple.
Cool. And there's ways to learn from you without consuming mass amounts of time. You've been able to build a system that also helps and coaches and trains other individuals. So yes. Maybe you can kind of talk about that. That'd be awesome too.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I co-founded a company called apartmenteducators.com because for years there's been requests to, hey, I want to learn this stuff. And it was always like, I'm too busy. I can't take you by the hand and you spend every day with me. But we intentionally built a system and an ecosystem to be able to give people that framework and that education. And that's apartmenteducators.com. So we got free content there. You can check that out. And we basically coach people through this process and show them everything we do in our business.
That's awesome. And then I also heard giving back, which I know you were kind of intentional about this. You've started some kind of organization to kind of purposely do so as well,
Yes.
correct?
Yep. We started in 2020. We started a foundation. It's the DJE Foundation. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. And, for me, that was just a dream of mine. I've had a lot of dreams. I want to do this. I want to have this. I want to live like this, da, da, da. And one of those things I always had was I want to have a foundation and I want to give away a bunch of money. And, it gets to the point where like, well, you're an adult now and there's no like tomorrow. This is it, man. You're an adult. This is who you are. And so it was one of those things just like, all right, let's start this foundation and let's have, I have a lot of different companies and a lot of them contribute to that foundation on a regular basis. So now it's like, hey, I have a foundation. It has capital. The only purpose of that foundation is to try to improve people's lives and give that money away. And so it's been a very nice counterbalance for me, because sometimes, I have this thought like, wow, we've done a lot and I've achieved a lot. Is one more $10 million building really gonna is that gonna make me happy?
Yeah.
And sometimes you go, well, that building might result in $100,000 to my foundation, and that money's gonna go to give some kids in the Philippines some life-changing surgery. Like, okay, let's do it. Let's go buy that building. That's because my family is great, right? My kids have a great life. My wife, my family has an amazing lifestyle, right? I mean, blessed beyond measure. And so it got to a point for me where it was like, what are we doing? Are we going to try to 100x this so I can have a plane in an island? Like that wasn't even really juice me up, right? But having this long-term vision, and I really got a lot of this from Syndication, right? Syndication movie theaters run as a nonprofit.
I didn't know that. And
Mr. Syndication, so I never knew, but I would see him driving around a Bentley before he passed, and I always thought, those real estate guys,
that guy.
That guy. And I don't know him, so I can't speak about him, and he's passed now. But what I did see was that, and even to this day, right now in 2020, Syndication runs as a obviously a for-profit organization, but all their proceeds go to nonprofit, which I was like,
I had no idea. Either.
So that got in my head, and we're not there yet. Like we don't run as a nonprofit. All the companies are for-profit, but a lot of these proceeds go to our foundation, and then the foundation supports all kind of stuff, and that's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting.
That's super awesome, man. I connected with the group as well, and they're doing something close. So they have something in their deal where they're giving a portion of their profits away. And I go, man, that's what you're doing. What you're doing checks so many boxes at the same time. It's kind of like, oh, this is your area of impact as well. I get to invest. I get to do what I love doing, make some money, create some wealth for your family, and then give away to benefit other people. Like, let's go do another $10 million deal. I like the way that you said.
Yeah. And it helps me kind of balance out, this concept of capitalism, right? And sometimes capitalism gets attacked or gets a bad rap. And, it's like, hey, we can do some good with this money.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's the only thing we're doing. I have stuff for our lifestyle. That's just for us, and it's awesome, and I love it, right? But we're also doing the foundation stuff and giving away and having an impact. And the bigger my business gets and the more profitable my business gets, the foundation is going to be impacted by that, which means somebody out there is going to be impacted, whether it's through the church, whether it's through surgeries that we support or future stuff. I mean, at some point, I don't know, we might hire a director to run the foundation, and how do we give better and grow bigger? And so just having it, my goal this year was just to start it and start giving away money and start funding money to the foundation. That's success for me in the first year. The second year it'll grow, and in 5 years from now, who knows where it'll be, but it's just important for me to plant the seed, start it, and start doing that. So it keeps it fun.
That's awesome. Well, I don't want to take up too more of your valuable time, my friend, and I really sincerely appreciate you joining us. We're on the Five Talents podcast. Probably see some of the updates shortly, and all of the links that Devin sent us, or DJE Texas, will be there. And if you want to get a hold of Devin or learn more about what he's doing or get closer to his world, reach out to him. I'm sure he'd love to chat. And then, we appreciate your time. So listeners, we would love a review. If you guys, new podcast getting started up, if you enjoyed the time, click the 5-star rating review and leave us one. And really appreciate it. If you're trying to get in touch with me, I'm at 5T, this guy right here, 5tcre.com, and look forward to it. My name's Abel Pacheco. Devin, thank you, man. Thank you.
Abel, that was awesome. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. You too. Talk soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the 5 Talents Podcast with your host, myself, Abel Pacheco. Each week, we're going to bring you interviews from industry experts and commercial real estate investors who followed their dreams and achieved massive success. Before you leave, let me ask you a few questions. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn something valuable? Was your mind stretched to what's possible and what you can achieve? Do you want other experts just like the one you heard today? If you answered yes to any or all of those questions, then please take a moment to subscribe to the 5 Talents Podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and most importantly, leave us a written review. Tell us what you liked, tell us your favorite guest, give us any feedback. I'm excited to learn and improve so you can get a more valuable show. So thank you again for subscribing to the 5 Talents Podcast.